The Flash is someone who makes more reckless decisions than someone who's driving for the first time, because everything he does, like traveling through time, is usually because of friends and family. But when you travel through time so much to the point where you start looking like Shaquille O'Neal's toenails, then you need to slam the brakes. But Flash doesn't, and you're gonna see him pay for that in the Night Terrors The Flash comic series. So the story starts with Wally West dying. Yep, already blasting your ass with a bombastic start, because this little boombox tried to face Gorilla Grodd himself, but because of a spear that Grodd had in his hands, he got himself stabbed, and now he's dying. But this was really confusing to Barry, because Wally is super fast. There's no way Grodd was quick enough to stab him without Wally having time to react to it. So how did it happen? Well, Barry went to go see Grodd in prison, but he just slapped him with cold spit and told him everything that he already heard, which is that Wally ran to him, slowed down, and then got stabbed. And this really pissed Barry off, because it wasn't feeling like he was getting the right answers, so his only option was to travel back in time to see what happened. So he heads to the Watchtower to meet up with a deformed Hal Jordan, who helps him conjure up a cosmic treadmill and travel back in time. But apparently, as he travels through this Teletubby vortex, he feels it resisting him, and he comes out a little beat up, but he has to ignore that for now because he sees Wally's moment of death. So he skedaddles his way to push the spear aside, but for some reason, Wally still dies. And you may be wondering, how the wiggle biggle did Barry not stop this? Well, as you can see, his body is being pulled back, which caused him to slow down, and because the Speed Force's resistance was so severe, it brought him back all the way to the Speed Force and have him meet up with a cloud filled with gamer gunk and officially come face to face with Wally's killer. But this bum slug could not give up, so he tried to save Wally again and again and again, but he got pulled back so many times, he just comes back as this whack-ass wombat that looks like someone who just came back from a Sam Smith concert. And this new look is because of the amount of friction being applied to him when he travels through time. And every time he takes damage, his body has to compensate for that. And because of this, he realizes that he's maybe just not fast enough. So he goes to see Hal to ask him to send him to the future to meet a special speedster to lend him over some speed. But Hal saw Barry torturing himself and tried to stop him, but this human piece of sandpaper ignored this unimaginative chuckle nut, killed him, and said that he would get the speed himself at the cost of hurting himself even more. So he traveled all the way to the 25th century and came across this museum tour guide, who was rudely interrupted by Barry. So this goober decided to strap on his laces and reveal himself as the ultimate muster buster, the Reverse Flash. And they immediately have a quick tuckle, which leads to Thawne riding on Barry's pelvis and getting ready to kill him, until all of a sudden, Barry phases through Thawne and rips out every ounce of speed force he has in his guts. Now that he's got his speed, he's ready to save Wally. But even after realizing that this man is more ugly than Shaitan, he still chooses to run back in time to save Wally. But in addition to this newfound speed, he still could not beat the friction. It was all holding him back from saving Wally. So he decides to just strap his big boy pants on and face this monster himself, until he suddenly realizes that Wally's monster is just every single version of Barry who traveled back in time and came together in the Speedster group project. And right now it's trying their hardest to invite Barry into this hodgepodge of lightning. And they were succeeding in doing so until all of a sudden, the Wally West version of the Flash came out of nowhere, saved Barry, and transformed him back into his original self. And after that, they hurled themselves out of the Speed Force just in time to end this subathon. Now watch another video, you tubbies, and see ya.